Evening all, welcome to day 9 of our advent calendar. Right, today, this picture's quite apt. We're going interstellar. We're going to go and play a very, very cool game that I played for quite a while now. It's StarDrive. If you don't know what StarDrive is, it's what you would call a 4X game, as in you expand, explore, experiment, expedite, what else? I don't know, expunge maybe, but it's a 4X game where you it's literally a simulator strategy RTS kind of mashup, and it's worthy of review rather, because I've always played these kind of games way back when Star Trek Armada came out. Many of you may have played Star Trek Armada. It's an RTS back then. And then Star Trek Armada 2 came out, and it was just significantly better. And it was actually one of the first kind of things that really got me into kind of the space RTS theme. Now, this isn't just an RTS, because it's actually so much more than that. It is a full space kind of simulating, what do you call these things? I forget. Strategy, that's the one. So it's a strategy game, but it's the really kind of galactic ones. Now, StarDrive started as a Kickstarter, I believe, or similar, where it was basically a few guys who had a good idea and they wanted to make a really good game, and that's what they've done here. So let me explain what's going on. The way that StarDrive, I think, is so good and better than some of the competition that I could have looked at, like Sins of a Solar Empire, Galactic Civilizations, etc. StarDrive is better because I think it just had a much more kind of fun interface. So, for example, we're starting off here in the ship screen. You have a full shipyard, and this may look really complex and boring, but believe me, it's not. Just about 10 minutes of clicking and stuff, you'll get it. And I guarantee you'll spend more time in the shipyard than you will fighting these ships, and that's the real testament, because you have modules, you have internal and external plates, you have shield drives, you have the bridge, you have many different things, many different guns. You can have marines, you can have sick bay for marines, you can have cargo bays, you can make a supply ship. There's no limit, and you have all different hulls all the way up to Titan. And yes, the Titan is brilliant, but I'm not going to show it in this one, so you'll have to tell me if you'd like to see more of this. I must have played the heck out of this game. I don't think there's much left that I haven't played on this game. I've actually broken it a few times because I've got to the point where both armies or both empires that I end up fighting are so big that they can't render their fights anymore. So, and that's a real testament to the game. So this is definitely going to be one of those games that really grows. It's good because you don't have to manage too much. What you actually do is set up fleets. You see here I'm setting up Pyrex's first fleet. And all you do is you just say what ships you want in this fleet, then you requisition from what you've already got, and then you build from what you haven't. And from that point forward, every time you lose a ship, it automatically gets built again if you set it. The AI is extraordinarily good. I always hated having to sit at the shipyard in other games, clicking build, waiting for it to build, clicking build again, waiting for it to build, and so on. And then you had to kind of rally it into a fleet, and fleet management became such a chore, whereas hopefully you're seeing here how easy it is. You set up your fleet, and it can be anything. It could be a scout fleet, it could be a freighter fleet, a support fleet, it could be a fleet full of battleships, but it makes life a lot easier. And what's happening now is I've told, in example, my first fleet, I've told them to build all of the ships I need, and so from my entire empire, which is, many dozens of star systems, it picks the best place to build it, and then that ship will automatically muster where the fleet is currently held. The Empire interface is very simple, and it looks a bit messy. It looks a bit kind of cheap, but trust me, it's not. It's a very simple, straightforward thing. You do not really want to be managing so much of this. And I think StarDrive aced this because it just made life very easy. So as you can see, that's my empire. Now, what I haven't done, and this is what, again, the AI kicks in, is you start to build star lanes. So you see my enemies, they've actually got star lanes built. And that means that they build sensor stations so they can quickly travel through those things. The R&D tree is very good. It's very simple. You just say what obviously you want to research. They really have made it very kind of straightforward to play this game. They don't want you to have to spend a huge amount of time scratching your noggin thinking, what the hell am I supposed to be researching or doing? In this case, I'm just going to move Titan production to the top because, hey, that'll be fun. But in general, I would say this is one of the rare games that doesn't overcomplicate the whole research tree. It says, this is what you've got, go for it, and this is what it will give you, etc. Now, I think the strength of this game is that it is truly intergalactic. So this is all of the baddies, or the aliens, if you like, and let's have a look at them. And what I like about them is that diplomacy, again, is incredibly simple. They really have understood the genre of this kind of game, and I like it. So this is our ultimate enemy. These are the buggers that are completely killing me in the other game. I can't beat them, they can't beat me. We have fought each other to an intergalactic stalemate, which is amazingly fun. But they're like mechanical flies. Then you've got this guy, he's kind of like a hive mind, and you can see he's plugged into these cute little furry owls. That's just something I never thought I'd say in this video, but they're pretty bad. And every single alien has their own research tree as well, so you can figure out how to disrupt that mental link. These guys look pretty friendly, don't they? I mean, she looks pretty hot, actually, but you wouldn't want to get too close, particularly when I think the holographic generator kind of phases out a little bit, because I don't think you'd want to be sucking on that at any point, do you? But again, the beauty of it is that they're all quite different. They all quite act differently. Some of them are kind of ultra xenophobes. Some of them are sort of, kind of tree-hugging hippies. And some of them are samurai pandas. Is this World of Warcraft? I don't know. Apparently samurai bears are apparently a big thing in the future. Then you've got the vegetables. So these are actually plants. They're called prolops. They are actually plants, and all of their ships are organic. At least I think they are. They seem to explode like they are. Then you've got the ultimate deathists. These guys are literally Cthulhu in space. These guys just want to die every day. They think death is something to be wonderful and celebrated. And as you can see, everybody has a threat, trust, anger. And as you can see, everybody's pretty scared of me, because if you saw the previous screen, I am number 1 in terms of military, economic strength, etc. So these guys know who's boss. And then finally get the werewolves, who, don't know, apparently they're werewolves in space. Werewolves in space. There you go. That's an interesting... that's a cartoon right there, isn't it? So here we go. So what we're going to do is we're just going to throw all of our first and second and third fleet at some bad people. And this is really part of the game that I think is really nice. Now, again, the way that the ships move and the way that, so you see all of the fleets are kind of separate, and as they're being reinforced, it looks like they're kind of, it shows you where all the fleet is. And that's really nice. On the bottom left, you have obviously a supply window as well, which is, that grey, or that brown bar rather, is actually very important. If your fleet isn't supplied, then your ships don't have missiles, they don't have ammo, ordnance, etc. Now, fast forward, here we go. This is what you all really want to see, a massive, massive space battle versus the prolops. Now, what's going on here is obviously there's a lot of fighting going on. It's all AI. I can take control of any of these ships and actually fly it and fight it, and you'll see that in just a moment. But first, let me explain what's going on. So, as you can see there, I can explain what each different frigate is doing, for example. So, we have EMP frigates that were firing those kind of little blue balls, and they knock out the systems on all of the ships around them. Anything that's kind of a slow firing projectile is a railgun. I know it doesn't make any sense, does it? But anything that is a beam laser is obviously a particle beam, or even a fusion beam, or even a disruptor. And then you have missiles and so on. So really, it's a really nice kind of range of weapons. Now, what's actually happening is, you see, if I click on one of the ships, what you'll see is the green icon in the bottom left is the status of that ship. So remember, we looked at the shipyard before. It had external plating, then it had internal plating, modules, reactors, the bridge, etc. The game works in understanding exactly what's being hit. So as you can see, that ship there exploded because we penetrated through the outer hull, the shield, the outer hull, then the inner hull, and then into the reactor. And that's pretty much how most of these ships die. Now, you can knock out the engines, and the ship will stop. You can kill the bridge, and the ship is destroyed. It's beautifully done. It really is wonderful, because you could design a damage-absorbing ship. So you get a big Titan, you literally just load it with plates, and then all of your internal machinations are all the bits inside, and you can fire that into a fleet. It will take all the damage, and then you can bring your high damage fleet up behind it and kill everything. And I've got to admit, there's very few games. This to me had the flexibility and the versatility of EVE. So these guys must have played EVE Online at some point, because it just was amazing to see how versatile and how clever that kind of, I guess, grid of the ship was. Because as you start to shoot lasers at this thing, you can take control of the lasers, as you'll see in just a moment. And what you can actually do is blow the engines out. You can shoot the weapons off. So if you know roughly where the weapons are on these ships, you can then shoot them off. And it also works for our side as well. So as you can see, I've just selected my heavy cruiser there, and I can see it's taken some light damage. Now, it doesn't matter. If it takes red damage on the outer ring, then that's fine, because that's just the hull. Now, it's not good, but it's not too bad. And again, the beauty of this game is that they actually can repair themselves as well. So here we go. Let's take control of this ship. This is a heavy cruiser. And what I've done now is I'm now using WASD, and I'm using my right mouse button to actually shoot the weapons. Now, all of the weapons have got turning arcs, so I actually need to turn this round to get my main guns to bear. But as you can see, that ship is pretty beaten up. The only green bit is the reactor, so that's what I'm actually trying to punch through now to get to. Once I hit that reactor, it is pretty much dead. And there you go, you saw the reactor explode on the ship. There it is again. Boom, that ship is dead. It's literally exploding on the inside, and that is wonderful. I've never seen a game do this so well. And I'm using very crude weapons. There is probably a good 30-40 different types of weapons in the game, all the way up to disintegrators, which are as cool as they sound. And you literally would fly up to a ship. You have to knock its shield down for the disintegrator to work, but then it's just this massive single beam, and it actually goes through the ship. It is so funny. There is something very cool about this whole game, that you actually have that ability to, I guess, damage the ship in a particular way. As you can see, I'm controlling this one again. That's why I'm missing, because my aim is not as good as the but again, I think it's just a real rare game that kind of gives you all of the fun of a single ship in combat, all the way up to, you know, a massive capital fleet battle. Now, as you can see, I'm losing my own ships here. I've got Terran supply frigates, which literally just keep all of the ordnance loaded, and that one just took a massive hit on the left. As you can see, it's exploding inside. That's not good. And you can see my prototype frigate there with its beam laser isn't doing some good damage back to the ship. It's just awesome. I think there's definitely a real kind of you know, wonder of this game is actually fighting, and this is just small ships. I've not shown in this video the Titans fighting the Titans, but eventually you get to the point where you become the ancients, if you like. You are the old ones, and you just have fleets of Titans flying around meeting other fleets of Titans, and these battles get really nasty, because sometimes what will happen is that you can have a Titan that's actually part of a fleet. In an engagement like this, it will lose its engines will be damaged, and you have to send a fleet or a repair ship to help it repair. Now, they do repair over time, but it takes time. And I did this, and actually the enemy sent 3 Titans to kill my one stranded Titan, and I took control of it, and I fought them all off, and literally my ship's reactor was ready to go at any moment. But it was literally, as I'm doing here, I'm taking control of the lasers. Look at that, it's fired right through the guy. And that's the beauty of it. Focused laser fire, massed focused laser fire, penetrating the hull, can actually be aimed right at the reactor, because that's always in the middle generally, or you can go for the bridge if you know where it is, and you can actually destroy the ship almost instantly. Amazing fun. Hopefully you're kind of really sensing that this is one of the special games out there. I think it you know, it's not that old. I think it's only about sort of maybe 8-9 months old. It's on Steam, and I think it's probably like $5.99, maybe $9.99 on Steam. Well worth a purchase. If you love your space games, if you love any kind of RTS, or if you love just generally space exploration, you know, expansion, civilization style games, in my opinion, and that's only my opinion, this is the best of them all. I've played most of them, probably all of them now, to be honest with you. And I had a lot of time for Sins of a Sailor Empire, but I think this game makes that game look completely crap, and that's just my opinion. But it's just, there's so much more to do here. It's so easier, it's so much more fun, it's so simple. And it is literally what happens when fans of the genre make a game for other fans of the genre, and I think they absolutely aced it. So the battle ends. What we do now is we then orbit all of the planets, and we just bombard them. We glass the planet, we nuke it, and we just remove the population from it, and then we go and colonize it ourselves. And there we go. So this is here endeth the tale of the Pyrex Spacing Empire. Hope you enjoyed that. It's a wonderful game, and I really would suggest, if you're interested in these kind of things, to give that particular game a go. So that was StarDrive. Now, check SquadB.com. There will be an article to do with this game on there, and we will certainly probably have another look at this if you're interested. Post in the comments if you are. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.